What is up, YouTube? I'm Devon DaVinci, leader of the Renaissance crew, and you're watching DaVinci Reacts. Before I go ahead and get into this next reaction, I just want your guys' help with something. Now, my computer, or not my computer, but my browser has been having this interesting issue, or maybe just YouTube. Whenever I click on a separate video, the video from the last thing I watched is still on the player. So like right now, I'm going to do a reaction. It's the information about the PlayStation 5 controller, by the way. I just recently found out that it exists. And I'd like to learn more about it, so I'm doing this reaction to this video. But as you can see, it still has the video for Geography Now, Russia, which is what I just did a reaction to. And if I click the play button, you would think that it would change, but it doesn't.
Hey everyone, we've reached Russia.
Not sure why it does that. But if I refresh the video like this, watch, boom. If I refresh the video or the page, now it's fixed. No idea what's causing it. It just randomly started doing it at some point like a couple days ago. And I really want to try to find a fix for it. So I will be looking up more information about it. The PlayStation 5 has already been announced. Oh, 1 second. Don't start before me. The PlayStation 5 has already been announced. I believe it's speculated that it's going to get released sometime later this year. This is probably one of the first times where I'm not really enthusiastic about buying a system when it first comes out, because PC Master Race, and because I don't think there's going to be anything that's going to get released early on that is a must buy. So normally I try to get a system when it like launches, but I don't really know if I'm going to do that now. With that being said, let's go ahead and check this out. PlayStation 5. Well, I was going to say groundbreaking technology, this, that, and the other, but like I said, PC Master Race. Let's be real. Whatever the PlayStation 5 has, PC has had for the past like couple years. So it's not, for me, it's not really a big deal. You know what I'm saying? So let's go ahead and check this out. I'm curious about the functions of the controller because I've seen pictures of it, but I haven't heard like the actual details about it. This video was done by gameranx. I will have a link for their channel at the end of this video, and I will have a link in the description box that you can click on to watch the original video. If you don't want to see me pausing or talking over the video, or if our computer decides to screw up and freeze at some point during the reaction, that is where you go to watch the original video yourself. So be sure to go ahead and do that. I always encourage you to watch the original before you watch the reaction to help give them a view. One way you can help do that and, you know, kill two birds with one stone is to right click the original link, open it in a new window or tab, put it on mute, play it while you're watching the reaction. By the time the reaction's done, the original video will be done. Both videos will have a view, and you'd be helping both of us out. Let's check this out.
All right. Sony has announced the official controller for the PlayStation 5. It's not much. Sony has kind of been, trickling out info for us, but there's some key takeaways here. It's me, Jake, and let's talk about this. The PlayStation 5's official DualSense controller. Let the hot takes begin. Dropped out of nowhere as news on the PlayStation blog here today on April 7th, we got our first look at it. In the post, Sony says it's shipping out final versions of it to their developers working on first-party titles. So basically, the developers making the games who will use its unique features the most, they're getting their hands on it. So now they figured they'd show us. Okay, cool. First, let's talk design.
I do like the
design. This is probably the biggest full design refresh of the DualShock we've seen yet, which I'm surprised. I almost thought it would just have the same old look it always sort of has.
Very
but
futuristic
the design
looking.
cues here are substantially changed up.
iRobot-esque.
The curves and the different angles here. Still, if you just take away the black and white and maybe make it all black, now it looks much more like the DualShock 4.
Yeah.
But you notice the general curvature, specifically around the outside in particular, it's quite different. The joysticks are now also housed completely in the controller. The round plastic circle things that hold them in are no longer lower than the middle of the controller itself, like hanging over. Very interesting. I think
it reminds me a lot of Xbox controller. It seems like they're taking a lot of notes from the Xbox with the rigid textures in the sticks and just the shape of the handles on the bottom, they're more outward based and like thicker, so it reminds me a lot of Xbox controllers.
Longer, lower than the middle of the controller itself, like hanging over. Very interesting. I think the slickest thing is the light now on the sides of the touchpad. That is super nice. Full disclosure though, before we move on, if you guys watch our Friday news show videos, you probably know I'm a sucker for tech, especially clean white tech like this, so yeah, I am into this design. I have no real horse in the console war race, but I do like this look. I do wonder how well that white finish will hold up over time, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Greasy, nasty Mountain Dew hands.
Or will it turn yellow?
But other white controllers do fine, so it might not be a big deal. But again, I do really wonder about the ergonomics here, the shape, the kind of rounder, more curved shape. Sony said it has been tested on a wide variety of hands and is optimized, but of course, only time will tell when we actually have it in our hands. That type of stuff you can't make judgment on until you hold it. I also think it's funny we've immediately seen people bringing up the PS3 boomerang prototype. Like, hell yeah, dude, this is probably the closest we'll get to that. I don't know. I was a fan of that. Also, shout out to @Steadicam on Twitter who tweeted this at me. It's kind of got like an Avengers Endgame Stark time travel suit thing going on. Very curious to hear what you guys in the comments have to say about this controller overall. Anyways, moving on, you can see it is charged and connected via USB-C, aka the best USB port. This is something that we've already kind of known, but it's nice to actually see it here in action still. The share button looks like this now, although Sony points out that it's no longer the share button.
It's the yell button.
The create. Okay, it will have the same share button features as well as new stuff Sony simply hinted at that they'll talk about more at a later time. Now take a look at the triggers here. Definitely a change, but you know, not really an overhaul. Still doesn't look quite like a full enough trigger if you ask me, but in this news post, Sony outlined what they briefly mentioned in the past. These triggers, L2 and R2, will have adaptive triggers built in so you can, and I quote, truly feel the tension of your actions, like when drawing a bow to shoot an arrow. That sounds kind of cool and innovative, like they resist how much you can push them for certain points. Sony also reiterated the use of haptic feedback in the controller as well, to have more sensitive and more varied vibrations, like feeling different textures on different roads in a racing game, stuff like that. This is where Sony's whole DualSense thing comes into play, because they wanted to incorporate a more of a sense of touch.
I believe that's the new name of the controller. It's no longer DualShock, it's DualSense, which is the second time in Sony controller history that they've actually changed the name. I believe the first time was with the PlayStation 3 with the 6-axis controller. Then they went back to DualShock, and now it is DualSense.
You know, the feeling in your hands when you play. The gimmick? I don't know. You know, maybe Sony is saying that this, coupled with their new 3D audio tech, will all really heighten the immersion. But I think, again, that's down to the
gimmick is the
touchpad. Regardless, Sony has said that they, and I quote, took thoughtful consideration into ways to maintain a strong battery life for DualSense's rechargeable battery, and to lessen the weight of a controller as much as possible as new features are added. Now, battery life and weight are, of course, the biggest things for me and a lot of people. All of the new bells and whistles are great. You know, you can add those on, but still, at the end of the day, you can take them away. You still need just raw input. That's what's most important here, and I'm glad that they acknowledged weight and battery life. One other thing I want to point out that isn't getting enough attention, this controller will have a built-in microphone array, which Sony says will, and I quote, enable players to easily chat with friends without a headset, ideal for jumping into a quick conversation. But of course,
or just listening in to you while you're sleeping or doing whatever you're doing around the house.
Of course, if you're planning to chat for a longer period, it's always good to have a headset handy. Yeah, that to me, that is actually kind of cool if you think about it. There's some potential here, but how many casual folks are gonna have this thing left on while they're playing a game with the TV on full blast, with their kids crying in the background, with the stereo on? I could see it now. I could hear it now.
Back to
hopefully
the Xbox
the push to talk is like default on. Well, I'm glad that we know what it looks like now. One, because it's just something fun to talk about, but also two, looking at the controller, you can kind of get a glimpse into the design philosophy of the hardware box too. What that's eventually going to look like when they reveal that. Now, the controller features sound like nice additions, not totally distracting gimmicks or anything that takes anything away, but you know, maybe not blow the doors down. I love the way the controller looks. Like I said, I just hope it feels.
Them early PC controller days were rough. For those of you that remember the days like back in the 90s playing PC games and when they were trying to incorporate controllers and stuff, those were some tough days that you couldn't really find a good quality controller no matter where you looked. First, you had to find a controller that resembled a regular controller, because most of them are almost like always experimenting. So it was always something weird, like they had a trackball, or they had 100 buttons like that just showed, or they had some weird like design. It was rough, man. Like, PC is so much easier nowadays where you can just download a game and play it, whereas back in the day you had to like mess with drivers, and they like it wasn't really, they didn't really have a lot of like USB and stuff. It was, you had to find specific connections, and it was just bad.
But, you know, maybe not blow the doors down. I love the way the controller looks. Like I said, I just hope it feels good to hold and can disappear in your hands when you play, because that's the most important thing, and we won't know, of course, until we get our hands on it. But that's what you need to know. Of course, we want to hear from you guys in the comments. Be sure to let us know if you would have sex with this controller. Let's talk anything PlayStation 5 and the DualSense controller down in the comments. We're looking forward to hearing from you guys. Keep your eyes peeled for more videos on this. If you did learn something, maybe we helped you out, clicking the like button is the best way you can help us out. We would really appreciate that. But consider subscribing anyway, because we put out videos every single day. As always, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.
I believe I am subscribed to gameranx. If I'm not, I will be now. Okay, I'm subscribed now. Yeah, it's interesting. They made a video about Final Fantasy VII because I just recently pre-ordered the game. I got the special edition version. I was planning on getting it digitally, but I wanted the art book, and the art book is something I didn't want tied to my console. It's something I want to be able to pick up and read whenever I want to. So I ordered the physical edition from Amazon. Now, because I ordered it about a week ago as of right now, and because of the situation with what did Game Grumps describe it, the Backstreet Boys concert, it might be delayed because of, you know, all the excitement about the Backstreet Boys. So I'm trying to figure out exactly when I might be able to start streaming, because I've told you I'm going to stream the game as soon as I get my hands on it. Like, I don't care if my internet is faulty. I will stream as long as my internet will hold up, and if it keeps getting knocked down, if I have to have 50 streams in one day, all of them about 10 minutes long, then that's what the hell will happen, because I will be streaming this game in its entirety. I don't care. But just a heads up, if you don't see a stream for the game on the 10th, then give it a couple of days. I will have a stream up. I will announce when the stream is coming up. And you better stick close to that your Twitter feed, because when I get my hands on the game, I'm going to be streaming in like hours later. Like, just almost immediately after I get the game, I'm streaming. The game's going to install. As soon as it's done installing, I'm going to send a tweet letting you guys know, hey, in 30 minutes there's going to be a stream. So just be on the lookout for that. I don't know if I'm going to stream on YouTube or on Twitch. I might try Twitch, but whatever. PlayStation 4 controller, yeah, like I said, it does have a very futuristic robot look to it. It kind of reminds me of what was her name? Eve from WALL-E, the white floating robot. It reminds me a lot of that. And I'm wondering, like, with the white plate that's on top of it, I wonder if that's replaceable. Like, if they have different designs and colors and stuff like that they can sell, that you can, like, clip onto it and give it a new look. I mean, it would be an opportunity for them to make a lot of money by doing that. If you had specific designs, like a Dragon Ball Z themed, or a Final Fantasy themed, or a sports themed, or whatever else, like, you have the potential to have, like, to sell plates, kind of like what Xbox 360 did. There's a lot of possibility there. But with that being said, I hope you guys are looking forward to the PlayStation 5. I'm trying my best to keep my former fanboyism out of it, because I was a Sony fanboy for a very long time, in the trenches, going to war with the Xbox fanboys. So I'm trying to you know, make sure I don't let that influence what I'm saying now. I've moved over to PC, so now I just look at both of them with disdain, because they're all a bunch of console peasants. But, you know, one day y'all will know the privilege of having a system that you can mod and get the absolute most from graphically, performance-wise, everything else, you know, just jump over to the PC race. It's right there. Just come on. Come over to the PC race. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I'm Devon DaVinci, leader of the Renaissance crew. I look forward to seeing you guys in a future video. Be sure to check out gameranx. Like I said, pop up right around here somewhere. Check out that original video. If you want to show me support, the best thing you can do is hit that like button, subscribe, and share. Until I get a Patreon, that's the best thing you can do to support my channel. Just hit that like button. That way my videos can get recommended more to more people, and it'll help expand the community. So I'm going to give you the deuces, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the future. Deuces.